Hi guys, it's Unders. Today we are doing a little response request video. I got a comment from Lisa who was asking a bit about what I do on my Tubus, so my master channel. Now I'm just going to say everything in this video is completely subjective. It's an opinion and it's just what I do. You will see lots of advice out there to put nothing on your master channel, especially if you're sending it out to a mastering engineer. You'll also see lots of people who also do that. Both amateurs, professional musicians alike, it's completely subjective to what you want to achieve. So I do this because I have a solid vision of what I want to get from my track and how I want it to sound. And this is how I get to that route. So we're going to take a couple of tracks from the album. I'm just going to explain what I've done on the master bus, why I've used certain plugins and what they're achieving. Okay guys, so the first track we are going to look at is Old School Days. It's one of the singles I released from the album. This is the final mix and radio edit. So I've got two projects here. Over the left is the original, on the right hand side is the radio edit of it. We're just going to look at this little looped section here. It's obviously named something different prior. So if we have a look on my master channel, as you can see, I've got hell of a lot on there. First thing to notice is I've got Arc 2. Now we're working in headphones right now, so I'm going to disable that, but Arc is a room correction software, so we're not going to need that, and it would sound really strange if I left it on for you guys. So that's one that's normally on there, but we can get rid of that and ignore it for the minute. Now obviously lots of cases people are going to tell you shouldn't have all this on your Tubus, but hey, it's what I like and it gave me the sound in the mix I wanted overall. And you'll see that my mix still peaks at a relatively low level and is okay to go out for mastering. Have a quick look at that. Me and my boys was birds of a feather. We steady rolling hard like leather. We steady getting money, getting cheddar. They want us to fall out, homie, never. Remember old school days, driving with the lads in the F-3S. Remember old school. There you go. So absolute peak, I've got 3.3 there decibels of headroom from mastering engineer to work with. And the guy who mastered this album, Stuart, friend of mine, was fine. He did an excellent job on this track. I really like how it sounded in the end. But here are some things that I did preparation for that to get the overall sound that I liked. So the first thing I've got on here is Fabfilter ProQ. Now I won't do this on every single track, however there was lots of low end stereo material that was making its way through, and while you could go through every single channel, make sure it's all cut, this just cut that final bit out. I normally wouldn't go this high, I'd normally only do that to maybe 50, but in this track all the way up to 120, and I wanted that big fat low end sitting there and just working on its own and doing that, cut that out. You'll see other people probably do something similar to this as well, but it's only taking out the stereos there. We have got it on here as well, but it's a 20 Hz roll off, so we've got the full spectrum. Me and my boys was birds of a feather. We steady rolling hard like leather. We steady getting money, getting cheddar. They want us to fall out, homie, never. Yeah, so it just clears that low end up a little bit. Something a mastering engineer would have just had to do anyway. It's already done for when it lands with them. One thing to note, actually, we'll bring that back up. It's in linear phase mode as well, so it's a nice smooth roll off in that case, and the Fabfilter has a really good linear phase mode. So next I've got Solid Bus. If you have watched my G-Bus compressor video, it's not my favorite anymore, but it's definitely what I was using at the time, and it will just be giving a few decibels of compression. I'm going to say that, and now we're going to press it and see. Me and my boys was birds of a feather. We steady rolling hard like leather. We steady getting. And that just adds a little bit of mix glue. If we just A and B it real quick, you'll just hear some other bits peaking and fluttering a little bit. It just adds a tiny little, maybe maximum 2 decibels of glue to the mix. Me and my boys was birds of a feather. We steady rolling hard like leather. We steady getting money, getting cheddar. They want us to fall out, homie, never. Remember old school days, driving with the lads in the F-3S. Remember old school days. Cool, so that just glues the track together a little bit, and I tend to use that a lot. This is where you're going to start going absolutely insane at me, but hey, we've got two different tape algorithms working. So first I've got Slate's virtual tape machine, and it's a tiny gain adjustment and adds a little bit of more character to the sound. We've got standard noise reduction, really reduced on the wow and flutter. We can bring that in now. Me and my boys was birds of a feather. We steady rolling hard like leather. They steady getting money, getting cheddar. They want us to fall out, homie, never. Okay, so rounding and fattening up the sound a little bit more there just gives it more of a feel. It doesn't really adjust the mix massively, it adds a feeling, and that's what I really like when I'm doing this sort of final stage. I want to get the feel of the mix right. Me and my boys was birds of a feather. We steady rolling hard like leather. They steady getting money, getting jet. Yeah, so it goes from being quite a digital mix to a tape sounding mix, exactly what you want. Now on here, this will be applied very slightly. I've got the saturation boosted a little bit. This is going to add quite a bit of harmonics, and I have it on the 811 tape setting because that gave the best sound. I would have spent a long time sat here Aing and Bing them. Also have it on channel 2+3, so it's using both of the left and right channels independently there. Me and my boys was birds of a feather. We steady rolling hard like leather. They steady getting money, getting cheddar. They want us to fall out, homie, never. Remember old school days, driving with the lads in an F-3S. Remember old school. Cool, and we've done that because it's smoothing the high end about probably around the 2K marker where the vocals are sitting most prominently, just flattens and puts that in quite nicely. So I'm almost getting into mastering territory here, but I'm still just adding to the mix, just getting the sound that I wanted before it even went for mastering. And for me, mastering, like Stu's job, was to make sure I've not made anything terrible and we can play it on other sound systems. So if I get the sound I want, he's just got the work of making it a bit louder and making sure I've not done anything stupid like left the low end in stereo, for example. Then after those two, we've got Larson, another one that's going to change the profile of the mix a little bit. I've got it on very, very low, so it's going in -6, 40% taken off on the push. If you want to understand what the push knob does, I've done a separate video on that. You can have a quick look at that. DDM's on, HD engine's on, GUI is small, but we don't really care. If we go into here, these are all on their minimal settings with the exception of the gain reduction of the DS, so that's just catching some of the high cymbals and brass much later in the mix. Me and my boys was birds of a feather. We steady rolling hard like leather. They steady getting money, getting cheddar. They want us to fall out, homie, never. Remember old school days, driving with the lads in an F-3S. Remember old school days. So that's less than a decibel of compression there, but just change the profile of the mix more than anything. I want to have a little listen to it A/B real quick. Me and my boys was birds of a feather. We steady rolling hard like leather. They steady getting money, getting cheddar. They want us to fall out, homie, never. Remember old school days, driving with the lads in an F-3S. Remember old. Cool, and then last thing here would have been the loudness meter, the little LUFS meter that I'll just have running while I'm making the track. Me and my boys was birds of a feather. We steady rolling hard like leather. They steady getting money, getting cheddar. And that just lets me know while I'm working if I've pushed anything too hard or done anything ridiculous, or if you've got ear fatigue and you keep boosting things. It's generally a good little indicator. Don't always have it on there, but in this case that's how I was working. So that's it. So Fabfilter ProQ rolling off some low end, around 2 decibel of compression with solid bus comp, 2 tape saturators because I'm insane, and Larson doing less than I think half a decibel of compression. Me and my boys was birds of a feather. It was more for the EQ tone that came from Larson in this case. So that's track 1, that's Old School Days. Hopefully it will be linked downstairs in the description or on the screen as well, we shall see. if I remember to do it. And we're going to grab another track and have a look, because I work differently. I get the sound I want on each track individually. So let's load up another one. Okay, so this is the track Follow You. Don't know what to say. First track on the album, really easy to hear. Again, album probably linked somewhere in this video. Let's go through this real quick. We got a slightly similar set of plugins, but we'll see some slight differences here. I think I've got the same roll off again. Yeah, I've got the same roll off again on the Fabfilter. I was clearly doing that as a thing throughout this project. Not necessarily always needed, but definitely worked in this track, so I'm really happy with the sound of it. Don't think we need to go over that again. Let's just hear what we've got.
Shine a light and show me where to go. Call my name and that will guide me through. Make it sound so I can follow, I can follow, I can follow you. Shine a light and show me where to go. Call my name and that will guide me through. Make it sound so I can follow, I can follow, I can follow you. Shine a light and...
Cool. To the Solid bus comp there is just taming the drums down a little bit. They're really quite punchy beforehand, and that just sort of grabs it again, glues the mix together. Only about 2 decibels happening again. I have then got a gate. I assume that's going to be because of that Moog that we just heard with a really long release. Let's check it out.
Shine a light and show me where to go. Call my name and that will guide me through.
Yeah, it's just to capture that. So instead of adjusting the Moog itself and automating it, I've just put a gate on there, so at certain points I wanted to grab it. To work those releases out, I've probably just done it by ear, but I may have gone into delay here and worked it out. Let's have a look. So what have we got? Release 40, so around 200 odd, 228, so probably worked it out as 1.6, 342. It looks like I've gone somewhere around this sort of area here to get it around 1.4. Obviously dropped off a little bit sooner. Cool. We've then got the J37 tape again from Waves. What have we got here? This time we've got loads of saturation, and we've got it on the 888 tape formula again. So let's introduce you.
Shine a light and show me where to go. Call my name and that will guide me through. Make it sound so I can follow, I can follow, I can follow you. Shine a light and show me where to go. Call my name and that will guide me through.
Cool. So that's just doing similar to what the Solid bus is doing, just gluing things together a little bit, and not a massive change. And then we've got Ozone. What is Ozone doing? So it looks like I've had to play around with the stereo imaging. No, maybe not. Just got post equalizer. Ah, we've done some matching EQ. Okay, that's something that I rarely do now. What have we got here? Okay, so this has been matched to Pendwav. I know that that is the profile for Pendulum Hold Your Color, which I guess is a similar sort of track to this. This is a bit more liquidy, but that similar sort of vibe. So I've done that to get some pretty harsh adjustments going on, but the maximum amount there is 2 decibels of adjustment. It's just really changing the profile of that track. So let's just A/B that real quick, I guess.
Shine a light and show me where to go. Call my name and that will guide me through. Make it sound so I can follow, I can follow, I can follow you.
Yeah, I can hear why I prefer that. It brings the vocal out a little bit, and I probably would have just been messing around, decided to leave that as the final mix, and that's how I liked it.
Shine a light and show me where to go. Call my name and that will guide me through. Make it sound so I can follow.
To be honest, both are okay. It's okay without it. It's just that tiny little more improved with it on there, so that's probably how we got to that. Guys, I hope the video has been helpful for you. That is what I was doing on my master bus throughout the making of this album, and I'm not saying it's what you should do. It's completely subjective, but this is how I get to the end mix sound that I like to have. This doesn't necessarily apply for the work when I do it with other people. We can in the future go over the Trigger Rider EP I'm producing right now and see where we get to with that. Guys, I hope it's helpful for you. I shall catch you on the next one. Thanks for staying tuned.